So, good evening. This is Thursday. Thursday, February 8th, 2024, meeting of the Town of Berlin Planning Board. As a preliminary matter, please note that this meeting is being recorded and some of the attendees are participating by video conference. Accordingly, please be aware that other folks may be able to see you. That ugly sweatshirt you decided to wear tonight, or anything you intend to or not screen share on your computer. Everything that you broadcast will be captured and recorded forever and ever, and may possibly wind up as a TikTok video to be shared amongst your neighbors and friends. This is Tom Sanford, Chair of the Planning Board. Permit me to confirm that all members of the board are present and can hear me prior to me calling the meeting to order. Planning board members, when I call your name, please respond in the affirmative. Jay Teach.
Here.
Timothy Wheeler.
Yeah.
Carolyn McDonald.
Here.
Thomas Andrew.
Here.
With a quorum of the board present, I call this meeting to order at 7:50 p.m. Tuesday, February 8th, 2024. This is an open meeting of the planning board being conducted remotely, consistent with Governor Baker's executive order of March 12th, 2020, due to the current state of emergency in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts due to the outbreak of the COVID-19 virus. Specific information and general guidelines for the remote participation by members of the public can be found on the Town of Berlin website. The governor's order suspends the requirement of an open meeting law to have all meetings in a publicly accessible physical location and allows us and encourages us to participate remotely. For this meeting, the planning board is convening using a Zoom platform as posted on the agenda, which includes links to the public to join this meeting. I'll introduce each speaker on the agenda. After their concluding remarks, I'll invite board members by name to provide any comments, questions, or penetrating insights and/or motions. Please hold all your insights till your name is called. Board members, please remember to mute your telephone or computer when you're not speaking. Please speak clearly to ensure accurate minutes are recorded. For any response, please wait till you're yielded the floor. State your name before speaking. If board members wish to engage in conversation with one another, please do so through me to avoid multiple conversations at the same time. Lastly, please note that each vote in this meeting will be conducted by a roll call vote. Thank you all for your understanding and cooperation. So, is the people from the Fun Box Inflatables?
There's
They're not
no
on the
one
thing?
in, no
There's
one
no
in
one
the
in there.
audience.
Okay, so let's do.
Yeah, I emailed them to invite him to the meeting and got no response.
Okay, let's do the housekeeping that we should have done earlier. So, do you want to wait for the next time for the minutes?
Maybe we
Jay,
should.
or
Got any ideas? I'm trying to find out where to get the content.
okay,
Not looking good.
so let's wait on that then.
We may have to call it
So, we were presented a bill for our portion of the Sudbury Valley trustees.
Assabet Valley.
Assabet Valley.
Yeah,
Assabet
I was
Regional
like, what?
Housing Collaborative. Yeah, I was
you.
going to say,
As soon as I said it, I know that this is wrong. I'm doing it wrong.
I move that we pay $550 out of the Affordable Housing Mitigation Funds for a quarterly dues to the Assabet Regional Housing Collaborative.
Second.
Okay, I got a motion and a second to pay our assessed portion dues to the Assabet Valley Regional Housing Partnership, I guess is what it's called. Any questions or comments? Okay, seeing none, I'll ask you to vote. Carolyn McDonald.
Aye.
Jay Teach.
Aye.
Timothy Wheeler.
Aye.
Thomas Andrew.
Aye.
And Tom Sanford, aye. Motion carries unanimous. Thank you. So who's got the warrant?
I've got it. I've got
got
two
it.
signatures. I'll track down who's around. You around tomorrow, Jay?
Yes.
What time's good?
I think I managed to schedule nothing tomorrow. Yay. Let's take a look here.
I got a meeting till 10. How about 11?
Yep.
You're gonna be at the house?
Snowmobiling, but I'm here instead. Okay, 11.
Gonna be at the house in the van in Timbuktu?
I'll come here. You can just gotta look around a little bit, but it'll be fine.
I'll call you beforehand.
Okay,
Do I have your number?
I think you do. I don't have your number though. It's at best.
What's your number?
This is
Wait
being
a
recorded
minute, yeah, I got
for
I'm not telling
YouTube.
you.
Why don't we, after
Yeah.
we
I think-
close the meeting, you
Wouldn't it be
can
great if
exchange
everybody
phone
had his
numbers?
number?
Well,
I
just.
think we should make Tim give us his number because
Oh, no, I'm not giving you mine.
Everybody knows how to get hold of Tim well enough as it is.
I'll
He's
definitely
driving the
I'll
yard.
come back to the farm no matter where I am. So just come to the farm.
Okay.
Okay, is there any other, we don't have any other bills, I don't think, right? It was just that one?
That's the only one I know of, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Is there any other mail or anything else we should address?
No, it seems, I mean, I haven't 100% gone through it, but it seems to be all just the usual
Notices from other towns?
that nobody seems to be interested in. And what else? This. Here we are. That looks nice. That's not workshop on pollution. In case you're interested. That's it.
Okay.
Well, what's the answer on the Funbox thing? So if they want to set up a entertainment thing in the parking lot at the mall, do we have anything to do with that?
Is that on a permanent basis?
No, it's for the summer.
And it's in Marlboro?
Oh, it's in front of it's in front of the Sears. Yeah, I
It's
sent
in
you a drawing.
Marlboro.
Did you see the?
So between Sears and Donald Lynch.
Yeah.
Is that Marlboro or is that Berlin?
That's
Oh, you're splitting the line.
That's hard to say. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
it may be a little in Berlin, but not very much.
I can show
It's
you
not
one.
in the non-permissible building area. Is it the same as parking buses?
Well, they do that without asking.
I'm working on that one still, but I'm not, it's far more complex than I thought it was going to be.
I mean, is there anything besides that plan that we have, in terms of a description of how long, operating hours, anything of that sort? Is that on there and I didn't see it, or?
Let me just take a look here. We are opening a large inflatable bounce park at Solon Paul Mall parking lot. We've talked with mall management, have an agreement with them. June 15 to September 7. Open Friday to Sunday during this period.
For just the weekends, okay.
Yeah.
I'm
meeting inquire about permits would be needed. Proceed with the plan and class we open at the Cape Cod Mall with a special event permit, and not sure about you guys.
I'm meeting with the mall management, the new representative for the company that's trying to help them through their difficult times, the mayor of Marlboro, the planner of Marlboro, Kristen, Peter Hoffman, in 2 weeks at the mall.
Yeah, put this on the agenda.
I'll throw this out to them then. They don't need a permit this week.
No.
So you want me to say, what are we doing?
Yeah, what the heck?
Okay.
So
Yep.
I'm looking on the Mass Mapper and trying to compare it It looks like that's all Berlin, actually.
Really?
Yeah.
So
Well,
just
a corner of,
negotiate free passes for all Berlin residents, right?
yeah.
Right?
You know, so Fridays was in Berlin and a corner of Penny's and all of Sears. So, yeah,
Right.
you're probably right.
Right. So it's like the back half of Penny's is in Berlin and it goes straight. Well, let me share my screen.
There's a little triangle of Penny's. It's not very much. It's just a corner. But
Right.
all of Sears, all of Fridays.
All right. Come back over here. Oh, Jay, you're sharing.
How do I unshare?
Oh, well, you know, if you look at the little diagram that's there in the
Upper corner.
red square. So we know that Macy's is in Marlboro. The parking garage is primarily in Berlin. The theaters are in Berlin. And then a triangular corner of Penny's is in Berlin. But if you keep drawing that line, that whole square that's red is in Berlin. So
Right. It goes kind of straight through the mall. And then at the road that goes around the mall, it jogs up so that Target is not.
Yeah, and heads toward the bridge at Bridge Street. Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay. All right.
Yep. So that is
It's all
definitely.
Berlin.
Yep.
Okay.
I'll let you know what I learn.
All right. That sounds good.
I saw another, speaking of what can go in the mall, I saw another remarkable new thing, which was one of these, forget the name of it. There's new gyms that are like multi-story, huge buildings, like a lot bigger than Sears.
Mm-hmm.
One in Burlington at the bottom of Route 3. I've seen several of them now. There's one when you're going down the turnpike into Boston, and the parking lots are jammed.
Yeah, I bet you have to have a certain population to get people interested in that.
Well, you know, I'd said that you know, looking at something that was focused on water sports for one of the buildings was something that we should talk to them about, because that's, you know, that's the sort of a regional sport that, like the ice skating, you know, can, you know, draws from a wider area, and that's where our connection to highways and centrality in, you know, in New England is or southern New England at least is pretty good.
Right. Yeah, people will drive for something like that.
Yep.
Especially if they host competitions.
No, exactly. And you know, and my feeling also is that kind of thing is really symbiotic with things like a food court and you know, and so on. So anyway.
Yeah, climbing walls is really popular.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, you know, if you know, specialty things like that, because as I, you know, my Hannah, when she was younger, was in USA Swimming, you know, big time, and the demand for that kind of a facility was huge.
Yep.
I don't know how they rank as a tenant in terms of rent you
dollars
and how reliable they are and all that.
Well, you know, I mean, my feeling is it would surprise me if they weren't at least sort of competitive with the skating as a, but you know,
Sure.
Oh, right, yeah.
I don't know, yeah, but anyway.
We do have a great location for things that draw from, you know, 50 miles away.
Yeah, or even 100. I mean, you know, I can't.
Our horse shows, we get a lot of people from Connecticut,
Yeah,
New Hampshire,
yeah,
kind of all around, because it's right.
I can't tell you how many times I drove down to Rhode Island and, you know, up to the Hanover area in New Hampshire for, you know, swim meets and so on. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, the only Cabela's in Massachusetts is right here.
Oh, really?
And the only other one in northern New England, I believe, is in Maine. I don't think there's one
I think that's right.
In New Hampshire or Vermont.
Pretty soon we won't even have one because we're going to have a Bass Pro Shops.
Well, Same.
Did you guys know that Fridays is going away?
Gone.
Yeah, gone.
On already.
No,
Okay.
yeah. Yeah, it's been gone for at least a month, I think.
Oh.
If not more, yeah.
Are you still waiting? Are you still waiting for your Grubhub order from them?
Yeah, exactly. Well, the fact that I wouldn't eat there might be part of the reason why they're gone, because I
Yeah,
don't
absolutely.
alone.
No, I meant Jay. I was talking to Jay.
Yeah. Oh, Jay.
Yeah,
he was
keep calling. It's not coming. Never answer the phone.
Oh man.
Where's my tenders?
Can
All
I
right.
run through a quick bit of news?
Yep.
Sure.
Yeah.
So they applied for Complete Streets money, and they got word yesterday we got awarded 500,000.
Oh, nice.
Oh wow.
And that'll be
That's
primarily.
fantastic.
So I think that the goal ought to be to pull the church, 19 Carter, all that, everybody, the store, because it's really going to be focused on sidewalks and access and all that around the town center.
That's fantastic.
I told you we got the zoning diagnostic $8,000. She's been given the zoning bylaws and she started to work with them, but she wants to know if we would be supportive of a proposal to seek funding for the second phase, which would be the rewrite of the zoning bylaws. And I said
Yes.
I'd make sure that everybody was fine with that, but I felt that we'd jump in quickly.
Sure.
So they'll put together an application to the state's one-stop funding for municipalities, and there's a couple other opportunities, but they'll try to calculate what she's expected in the past when she's dealt with the rewrite of zoning, and she'll put together a proposal that she'll zip by us probably the next time we meet, and then it'll go to the appropriate bodies.
Cool. Excellent.
Yeah, great.
The Housing Trust is meeting maybe with town council on Monday. They want to talk about some tax title pieces. Carolyn's been involved in this a little bit. It seems like they're getting confused about the tax title pieces that got turned over to conservation, pure and simple. And then there were those that we held in abeyance that were going to be potential sites for something like, affordable housing. So I'll try to clarify that with them on when
Right.
we meet.
I think they've narrowed it down to the lot on Lancaster and the lot here on Gates Pond Road.
Right. But there are a few others that have potential, but town council for some reason was talking about conservation and how do you unlock them from the ownership? And I thought, well, these pieces aren't conservation and never were. So
correct.
Right?
Well, that's what I was confused when I got the list to look over. I didn't see any that were conservation.
Right.
Yeah.
I gave them a list that I believed wasn't conservation. So okay, good.
Yeah, and that's probably the list I saw.
So I wanted everybody to know that. And then CPA voted last week $200,000 for community housing, the affordable housing. The Housing Trust wants to set up a fund that they can pull from. So if they were to work with Habitat for Humanity on a tax title parcel, they might be able to spice up the deal a little bit with some of the money for that. But also, if a first-time home buyer could easily, let's say, make their mortgage payments, but not their down payment, that sort of thing, they might be able to assist with $10,000 or something like that. And they've got a formula that says if you take that money and you live in that property for X number of years, perhaps 10, you don't have to pay it back. But if you sell the property in the first 5 years on a sliding scale, you'd have to pay some of the money back to the town, back to the trust. So
right. I think it was within 5 years, you pay it all back.
Yeah.
After 6 years, and then for the next 5 years, $2,000 gets deducted off of what you would owe.
Yeah.
So at the end of 10 years, you don't owe any of it.
And then we we voted to approve 20,000 for the next 2 years, the CPA share of the housing coordinator with Central Mass. So the Housing Trust would have the housing coordinator available. And then we've agreed tentatively over the years that the planning board would release some additional funds to cover the rest of that. So I think it's like 5,000 a year or something like that for the next 2 years. The rail trail asked for 30,000 and we voted to approve that. And they've got an earmark from the state, which 40,000 is going to be made available up front for them to utilize. Carolyn's got more detail on this than I do.
How much was from CPA money?
30.
30. Okay.
Right. So we're also applying for a reimbursement grant. So we're getting estimates. It's a feasibility study that will be done in 2 phases. Phase 1 will be from the Hudson line to Coburn Road, and then phase 2 is Coburn Road to the Clinton line, because phase 2 is the hard part. And so if we get the reimbursement grant, we only need 20% or 20% of the total cost, and 80% will be reimbursed. So we have this, we applied for CPA, put in the application for CPA, and then found out about the earmark that we have from the state. We have submitted the paperwork to the state saying, yes, we would like that money, please, thank you. But we have not received it yet. So we are keeping our CPA application in until the money is in the bank. And then, assuming we get it before town meeting, we'll pull the CPA article.
And what is that for planning, or what is that money used for?
So it's for a feasibility study. So they're going to look at the whole path, point out, problem areas, and suggest ways that we can fix those problem areas, give us an estimate of cost, and, and I assume timing. I'm not entirely, like, how long it would take for the construction, and so kind of answer a bunch of the questions that have been hanging in the air all these years about what to do with some of the more problematic areas.
Right.
And have professionals answer those questions.
And then the final CPA project was a request from the youth soccer program and a little bit from the baseball program, and then rec for 300,000. Well, initially they wanted 255, but $300,000 for wells, turf management, and an irrigation system for South Common soccer fields and the baseball field. And initially the proposal seemed ill-conceived, but the gentleman presenting came back with a lot more detail at our last meeting, and we felt more comfortable about putting it on the warrant and letting the voters respond to the request. So those are the 4 projects that we've got on the docket for town meeting at this point. And then the last piece is that when the Surgeon General came out with his report on loneliness in America and its impact on health and all that, the Regional Planning Commission started chatting a little bit. And so they came to town, some of their staff, yesterday, and we talked about Berlin participating in a healthy aging study that they'd probably work on through a grant proposal to one of the health foundations, with the notion that it would become a multi-year, multi-layered process where we'd really look at communities and, you know, special spaces like 19 Carter and other types of civic organizations, and how government and those organizations might work more cooperatively in order to promote quality of life in any type of community. But I think Berlin's interested in participating, and it could end up being a long-term project that would, you know, look at a whole range of issues in a small town. So I'll let you know more about that as it comes. But they're putting together a $70,000 grant proposal that they'll submit, I think, in May right now as the first stage. That's all I have.
Well, that sounds exciting.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, complete streets and stuff. I mean, there's some good stuff happening. We can have some.
Absolutely. Yeah, that complete street stuff is great.
We got parking issues downtown. We got to mix in with the sidewalks.
Yeah.
I hear there's a house that we can knock down.
Not anymore. You could have knocked it down a year ago, but no. Back to the fun box. And maybe I wasn't paying attention when I got the answer to the question of what's our role in that? Do we have to do a review or site plan, or do we have anything to do with it?
Because the mall is an overlay, and we've had the responsibility of approving modifications to the overlays and site plan review and all that sort of stuff. Unless Thomas thinks differently, I mean, I assume that it's in our pocket. It's not ZBA.
Yeah, I think, well, plus their question seems to be, is it an allowable use fundamentally? And then what steps they need to take if it is. Yeah, I think that's the threshold question. Yeah. And that would be us, I think. Yes.
Yeah.
Were they actually asking that, or were they saying, hey, how do we get a special permit?
Or do we need one?
Or do we need one?
Yeah. I mean, I think
from the way the email that Jay read, it didn't sound like they were actually asking permission.
Right. It's
I think they were. I think what I said was, I think they were saying, is it allowable and what steps? That they weren't.
Right.
Yeah, I think they've signed the contract with the mall folks, and it's, you know, okay, do we have to do anything else, or can we just show up? Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I'll respond to him and tell him that he does need to talk to us and try to get him in the next meeting.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think. The next meeting is Tuesday, and Tim will not have.
I won't have any
that meeting
yet. Are we going to keep that meeting or cancel it?
I'd love it if we cancel it, because I have another meeting that I'd have to jump to. I'd have to jump out of, but anyway.
Before we get to decide that, why don't we do a couple of other things that are on the agenda?
Yep.
But that is my birthday, so we could cancel it. I'd be happy about that.
Okay.
Or we could have it and do it in person.
There you go, and bring only if you bring cake.
Yeah. If I could suggest that we get to the bylaw sooner rather than later, I have a call with my Tokyo office at 9 o'clock,
right?
Which I thought was going to be plenty of time, but it's now 20 past 8, and
exactly. So let's take up the sign, the digital sign.
See if I can find it.
Okay, let me. Yeah.
Are we happy with what Thomas crafted and sent around?
I know there were some questions, and I would like to point out to you that I liked Jay's idea of seeding things with some typo or whatever. But when I was playing with the acronym for this, I settled on digital municipal information signs, but I quite liked digital information municipal signs because of the acronym DIMS, and I put it in what. Anyway, I thought for those who didn't pick that up, I just wanted to point that out. That anyway, I did see that there was some discussion about the fact that we should have taken all their crayons away with respect to the the sign colors and so on. I know Carolyn weighed in on that, and there was a little bit of back and forth between Jay and Carolyn. That was the only thing that I saw that in the email chains.
Yeah, so I in driving, I understood what we were, kind of getting at when we said black and white only. But in driving around, and I drive past several of them every day, and the solid block of bright color being the background is really what stands out to me as giving the most light pollution. So if it is only a black background, I don't have a problem with the letters being colors.
Okay. Well, I went to the bar at Kith and Kin and had two Manhattans.
Oh, right across the street from it.
And watched the sign across the street. And I wondered, how do I submit the expenses for that? Because
you need therapy.
Yeah. At least
no,
therapy.
The bar bill, because
the research.
I sat there watching this sign, trying to figure out its impact. I have to say that I was coming down to the idea that we should give them the crayons back. The idea of I completely agree with the conversation we had about sort of moving text and animations and so on. But the more I thought about it, the more I thought I personally thought that we should give them colors back, and that people can talk to in an area or whatever, can talk to the content manager to talk about background and everything, but that if we give them the colors back, it gives the flexibility for that kind of discussion. And I was sort of thinking that the more I thought about it, the more I thought that it was overly restrictive to just do the black and white. And agreed with Carolyn that it's the white background that that jumps out. So,
yep.
Yeah. So black background only, but that the letters can be a little bit more fun.
I wasn't so sure about the black because I don't know what kind of colors show up with that.
Lighter colors, but some of them wash out. Like a blue, you won't see a blue.
Right, but even red. Yeah, I think it depends on the color of the blue and the color of the red.
The darker reds and the darker blues you won't see.
Yeah. But even, so the sign
you'll see them, but it's gonna be, you're gonna be on the sign, you're gonna be closer to the sign before you can, distinguish it.
Right. The highway sign that embarrasses Jay is black with a single row of amber dots to create the letters. And
actually it's a dot matrix that they can have, they have multiple lines.
Well, multiple lines this way, but each letter is only one row of dots wide.
Okay.
And you can read that just fine. I can read that just fine. Let me say that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm certainly willing to go with the majority on that, but
Well, I
you know,
think allowing
yeah.
allowing color with a black background is good.
Okay.
Start, right?
How about a dark gray background?
No.
Okay. I'm just being devilish here.
Yeah, I know you are.
Yeah. Okay. So what I can do is rewrite that section, and I can get it around. When do we have to have this in? Monday?
Yeah, we have to
Monday.
have it in Monday. So what I
Yes.
wanted to do is to have the vote tonight, but we can vote it contingent upon that change.
Yep.
Unless there's a
Okay. Well, yeah, I think
wholesale-
what we can say is I will make that change, and we can vote it with that change. I can get it out to people like Saturday morning, and if people have a tweak or so to what I'm doing, I think we voted the intention and so on, and we can make adjustments if people send it to me over the weekend.
Right. And we may even find that we may have to make a couple modifications
Totally.
after we have our public hearing.
Right.
Absolutely.
Feedback.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah, we need to get we need to get a professional opinion or an experiment on the black background, because one thing I remember is there was a period when I was making PowerPoint presentations with a black background because they look really great on a computer screen, but when you project them, you can't read them.
Yeah, but we're not projecting these, so yeah. I mean, but I think
maybe that with in the dark they work great, and in daylight you can't read them. I'm not sure about that. We can ask.
Yeah, and I also, I mean, one of my other questions, again, sort of being devilish about this, is I haven't seen a black LED.
Oh, I'm sure they exist. Well, really. So, but what the black background would be is no lights on.
No, I understand that.
No, but yeah.
Yeah.
Right. It may not. We just make sure it works. It may not work.
Yep.
Under certain lighting conditions, that you may not be able to read it.
Yep. Tim, do you think CMRPC might have somebody who could talk to someone here briefly about that?
Or we could talk to a sign company too.
Yeah. Okay.
Or even look online on the internet. You learn all
What?
sorts.
The internet.
The internet's just going to tell you where to buy one.
Yeah, it's full of yeah, or some nonsense about it. Yeah.
Okay. Is there anything else that
the only other question that I had was for Thomas.
Yeah.
I know that the calculation that you put in there about what the watts can be, or
Yeah.
was there a reason you did not specify the Dark Sky Initiative as a reference?
Well, I footnoted it, obviously.
Yeah.
And I took it from and I indicated what zone there is. So
right. I guess I was thinking if as Dark Sky Initiative best practices change, if we
well, I could add or such lower, the problem is once you put in a clause like that, you can get a lot of discussion. People want to know, what they're voting on. My own feeling is you should be positive in the as much as you can in the bylaw. And unless it's sort of integral to the bylaw that you have to bring in another source because it's so closely related, to the subject matter, you shouldn't leave a plug into another source
Okay, yeah, I
that
was just wondering. I assumed it was well thought through. I just was wondering what the
No,
thought
that
process
was my
was.
thought. And the other thing was, if you put that kind of thing in and then you don't monitor it, you can get yourself into difficulties,
Right.
with future approvals. Not that this is, going to apply to a whole bunch of signs anyway, but yeah, anyway. So
Okay.
and I use the more rural of the of the two possible categories because in fact there isn't a lot of competition with other signs or anything like that. So that was the reason that
Right.
I picked the more rural of the two possible zones that might apply.
Okay.
And if people want to look at it, the end note tells you where everything is and the choice that I made.
Perfect. Thank you. I just wanted to have that conversation.
Mm-hmm.
May I ask about our 1,000-foot and 500-foot? We're still comfortable with those. I just wanted to make sure people are.
Did I show you a map of that?
Oh, yes. That was one question I did put out too, Timothy, whether we wanted to say within the commercial village district as opposed to the line. Thank you, because I did want to put that out in front of people.
Right.
Where is that?
So your comment at the bottom is consider using in the center of central commercial village district instead of 1,000 feet. I think that has merit.
You know where it is exactly?
Yeah, it's in his notes. The second one.
No,
the bottom of page 2.
No, but I wonder.
Oh, where's the center?
Where that is geographically.
So it would run from Oak Street. Where's my bylaw?
Yeah, because isn't it shown on the zoning map?
Yes.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
So it runs actually from almost to the destroyed greenhouse on Central Street. On that side of the street, back to the end of the common. And so Jane Sawyer's small house, not the graveyard, but the small white house would be included. And then to the corner of Pleasant to include the bank. So it would go from Jane's white house and the common itself in front of the meeting house. And on Jane's side, it would go through to the bank, but not include the meadows there across from Thomas.
Right.
But on the north side of Central, it would go all the way just about to the greenhouse.
And then doesn't it go up to like the library?
No.
No?
No, it's just 250 feet back. So the library is not included, nor is 19 Carter.
Okay.
Is it the orange in this map here?
Yep.
Oh, so I was thinking you could go farther down West Street.
The problem with that is that it wouldn't include the corner across from Thomas on Pleasant, on the east side of Pleasant, which might be I mean, they placed the sign there now. It might prove to be a good location for something like this. I don't know, but it would exclude that. So
right, but in the other end, there's potential locations that it would exclude also.
Yeah, so I don't know. Maybe the 1,000-foot is the way to go.
That's fine with me. As I say, when I was writing it, it occurred to me, that there was sort of a synchronicity of, the more intensive use and having the sign there and everything. But I don't have a real problem with it one way or the other.
Yeah, 1,000 feet wouldn't take us down to the greenhouse, which is probably a good idea, not going that far. But
Mm-hmm.
like Jay is saying, it would allow you to think a little further than just the end of the common by the bullet house in the graveyard. So,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Yep, that's fine. Okay. And what did people think about as on the 300-foot visibility thing? The more I thought about it when I was writing this, it was like that's a football field, and you're talking about a 15-foot sign, and you're talking about not having movable type. I thought that it shouldn't be at 300 feet, but not more than 300 feet. I couldn't see how the sign would work with that kind of of sight line and readability requirement.
Right, because I don't even know that the road's straight enough for that.
Yeah, I mean if it were at the school driveway, maybe,
Right.
but again, it seemed to me that three to have it readable at 300 feet seemed excessive as a requirement.
Well, I
I
got
mean,
that from, can you see the map I'm playing with right now?
Nope.
There's
Nope.
shade screen,
What do you see?
Just the
I-
bylaw.
text of the bylaw.
Now you see a map?
Yep.
now I see a map. Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right. So, oops. Three. I don't know if I can zoom this up more here. Suppose it were on Carolyn's conservation land where the sign is now. 300 feet. Is that too small? You see my mouse moving around over here?
Yep.
So it's kind of right before the bank driveway. And that is a straight line of sight. I thought that was kind of a reasonable place for where you could first read it in full.
Yeah, but coming from the other direction, you wouldn't be able to see it at all.
Yeah, I know that's the problem. I'm assuming, I was assuming that people, whoever goes by it in both directions every day. Most people.
Hmm.
So 300 feet.
You're leaving out a fair percentage of the town.
Yeah, I know it is. That's why
Good.
we have more locations, remember? Okay, so see this truck here? It's to there.
Yeah.
Now maybe, what if it were stuck? We could put it over the highway with a
Right. There we go.
There you go.
Put a toll booth in while we're doing it.
we could get Jane to let us put it in front of her garden.
Hmm.
That's what Lions Club sign is, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, that is the ideal spot where the Lions Club sign is.
Yeah, probably. Because see, then 300 feet is right here in front of
Yep.
the office building. And let's see in the other direction. Yeah, it makes sense in the other direction too, I think. Because it's right there, Carter Street. You could probably, well, you can buy a few square feet of land from the bank and put it in front of the bank.
Yeah. I guess, my my point is if we say not more than 300 feet, it means you can have a type size and so on that's visible at those lines. But the idea of having it be at least 300 feet seemed to me, too limiting in terms of configuration, and location. And so I thought not more than 300 feet, is more consistent with the size of the sign and more flexible.
Right. I think you're right.
So, okay, I just wanted to point out, I had them in the end notes, but I just wanted to be sure that, people were okay with those. I viewed them as minor adjustments, really, as I sort of got into it, thinking it out, and organizing it. Okay, that's good. All right. So I think at this point, if I could put a motion on the table, and of course we can still discuss it, to submit a warrant article in the form before us this evening, with amendments to reflect.
Well, why don't I just amend it right now?
Changing colors.
Why don't I amend it right now? Because there's only two things, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Great.
What's the 300-foot thing?
That's already in there. I made that change.
Okay. Not more than 300 feet. Okay, you already changed that. So
I made that change. Yep.
So it says content may be displayed only in black and white monochrome, whatever. We're going to say in color with a black background, right?
Yeah, I guess that's all we need.
I don't know that I would phrase it that way.
How would you phrase it?
I would in color with a black background.
Or black and white or color. How about that?
How about just a black background and just leave the rest of it? Content must be displayed on a black background, and not may, but must.
Mm-hmm.
Must.
Only.
Yeah, I think that works probably. Yeah.
Yeah.
And tell me what is envisioned by static images. That's logos and
Yeah, that was the thought, a logo or
any type of image but it would have to be in the same color as the text.
Nope.
Or the face of the kid that hit this winning goal instead of the video.
So text could be in multiple colors.
Mm-hmm.
And the image could be in a different color than the text.
Correct.
Do you want to limit the number of colors per panel?
No, I don't.
I don't yet. No, let's go to the hearing and see what people say.
Yeah, no, I'm fine. Also, I wasn't sure what your concern was.
I was just trying to make sure we're talking the same language. So yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then if we show up at a hearing where someone starts asking, we're saying, yeah, that's what we mean. And they can say, that's fine. Or they can say, are you crazy?
There's going to be an amount of that for sure.
We'll see. I like it. I second the motion.
Okay, so the motion is now as presented.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? This will be the text that we provide to the town to put in the warrant.
Yep.
Yep.
Okay. I will ask you to vote. Carolyn McDonald.
I'm gonna hold my nose for this one. Aye.
You can abstain.
I know, but I think
this is putting it on the warrant.
This is to put on I am voting to put it on the warrant. I am not voting in support.
After the hearing, you can vote no if you want.
Right.
Yep.
So, aye.
Thank you. Jay?
Aye.
Thomas?
Aye.
Timothy?
Aye.
And aye for for Tom
Jay,
Sanford.
you're sharing all of your files with the world.
Anything good in there?
Well, it's a little small for me to read, but
Better than a cat video.
Mm.
Alrighty, motion carries unanimous. Thank you. So
great.
who has to get it, or who will get it to the town? I don't know who's collecting it, administrator, secretary?
Jay now has the final draft because I didn't make the changes on mine as well. And I would take off the notes, Jay. Those
Yeah.
are really for
Us.
those are really for us. Okay.
So Kristen takes the warrant articles. That's what I've been doing with the CPA ones. And
Okay.
she expects a summary statement for each one. And we've got that other one that we voted before on the over 18 for the under 18 for the over 55. So I sent that language is floating around somewhere, isn't it?
Yeah, so should we vote on that again, or is it just a formality because we already had it?
I think Jay had it in the minutes that we already voted it.
Okay.
I think I did, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I move that we include that one as well then, just in case.
Second.
Okay, got a motion and a second to include the one that we have to resubmit. Any discussion? Seeing none, I'll ask you to vote. This time I'm going to mix it up. Thomas?
Aye.
Timothy?
Aye.
Jay?
Aye.
Carolyn?
Aye.
Tom? Aye. Motion carries unanimous. Thank you.
And may I ask if I can drop off at this point? I've just gotten in a couple of emails about the 9 o'clock call, and it's probably going to be an hour call, so I have to use the men's room and stuff like that. Thank you.
All right.
Yeah.
Good night.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Good night.
Bye.
All righty. The next item that's on the agenda is the chat about down at the sand pit.
Oh, right.
Are there anybody in the audience about this, or nobody's
Nope.
here?
Nope.
No. It's a citizen's petition. It's going to go on the warrant. We will have to hold a public hearing, and
We
then
will? Because
Yeah.
it's not zoning?
Yeah.
Okay.
So the technical process is that it's given to the select board. The select board has to give it to us formally. Then we have to have a public hearing, and then we have to vote like we would on any zoning article and present that vote at the town meeting. But the presentation doesn't have to be ours. I mean, if we were to decide we love the idea and we want to sponsor it, and said that to the proponents and said, we'll take this and carry it to town meeting, we could do that, but we don't have to. But when we fill out the form for the Attorney General, it'll say on what date did the select board give it to the planning, or what date did the select board get it as a citizen's petition? When did they give it to the planning board? When did the planning board post the hearing? When was the hearing held? And on and on and on, So
Yeah.
we got to do all that stuff like we normally would.
Okay.
Right. So my only hesitation, and maybe we can find out from town council ahead of time, is somebody, I don't know, Jay, if it was you who emailed that bit from the minutes about our concern about spot zoning.
Well, that wasn't ours. That was brought up by
Sue.
Sue, right.
Right.
Ours was more, we wanted to see, if they wanted to go that route, we wanted to see some sort of preliminary plan to what they were gonna, how they were gonna intend to break this all up.
Right.
And it had, high level. It didn't have to be set in stone, but how many
Right.
houses do we expected to put in there?
Well, it's
Just
actually interesting. Somebody that I know who knows a fair amount about building,
Yeah.
said something about the fact that putting foundations in sandy soil like that's not a great idea.
No. You
Right.
could do it, but you got to do wider footings.
Right. So it'll be interesting to see how this all plays out.
I think one possible good thing about doing this is that we can get some guidance from the town before we make a huge investment in what we're planning to do. Because what I'm finding is more people get to know about this. There are a lot of people in town who own valuable homes, about, the more valuable homes, and the real estate brokers who don't think this is a good thing for them or the town or the value of the property in town. Which means that
What don't think what's a good idea?
having lower value housing being built.
My guess is that is not the plan anymore
For that site, no.
for that site.
No, that
Right.
so if we rezone it to RA,
Residential agricultural.
yeah, then it's likely to be, well, I mean,
A
we're in a
subdivision
new
with,
phase of housing now, but if it was a year ago, it was going to be $1 million homes, right?
Yeah.
Oh, it still will be.
Yeah.
There's no reason.
Well, I think there's a change coming, but I don't, whatever, say it is. So the question is, are we going to be able, suppose we come up with a really great plan to convert it and do what we've been talking about, and we bring that to town meeting, I kind of have no idea what the likely outcome is going to be. And if we put this on the table and the planning board get up and said, well, we're not in favor of this because we want to do something like what we're talking about, right? It'd be nice to see whether the voters vote against turning it into RA unrestricted, giving us the ability, giving us motivation to continue what we're doing.
yeah.
As opposed to realizing that we're going to put all this effort into it and it's going to get killed.
I think that the conversations that we were having morphed into something quite different than our original intent. As we got more drawn into the possibility of overlaying onto this 30-acre site, instead of the original notion of, a small pod of 8 to 10 to 12 single family 1,100 square foot units. Once you began to talk about a 30-acre parcel with 30 plus units, and I think that would begin to scare people at town meeting.
Yeah.
So I think letting them go ahead, put the article on the warrant, change the zoning. I think the neighbors will probably support the notion that it's residential agricultural rather than limited business. And then I think the play is going to be to develop it as a subdivision, perhaps with a cul-de-sac and X number of units, or just single family units on the street. I bet
you're not going to see any more than 5.
That's the trouble with doing
Unless he puts a road in.
Yeah,
no, because it's inclusionary zoning bylaw we have in it. He's not going to touch, anybody's not going to touch that.
Because they got to put it affordable after 5, right?
It's interesting.
Yeah, but he's done that, hasn't he?
No. No.
Other than South Street.
No one has. It's only been
He's done
5.
40Bs, or he's done projects less than.
The only one they snuck in was Plastridge's, because they put a couple at the front, and then they came in and they did that common drive.
Right.
Well, that's what they did up on
Peach Hill Road.
Peach Hill was 5 houses.
No, but there was an A&R peeled off initially before we saw the subdivision. So actually there was more units than we picked up on. They snuck that one in. So in the case of the Plastridge one, we got 3 housing units. We got 2 lots that were purchased by abutters to protect the open space.
Correct.
And there must be 2 additional lots that haven't sold yet, right?
There's one out front that has a house on it.
And there's 2 houses in back, right?
Yeah.
So there's
I think there's three houses on the road.
Three.
Oh, three houses on this.
Yeah, I think there's two on one side and one on the other side.
And two empty lots, right?
And two empty lots. So there may be one additional lot. So yeah, we lost out there.
Actually, I don't know whether the one that's just got a shed on it was part of that parcel or not.
Yeah, I think it was
on the road.
It was, I thought that was subdivided up and that one was considered a non-buildable lot.
Oh, maybe
I think
it was.
that's that's frontage for one of the houses in the back, isn't it?
Isn't it? Okay.
I mean, all the back houses have got frontage on the street.
On the
Right.
cul-de-sac.
No, the cul-de-sac.
The common driveway didn't
common driveway.
supply, the common driveway didn't supply any frontage. It was all frontage from the street.
Right, because they came out across
Yeah,
the
yeah.
wetlands to the street.
Yeah.
Yep.
So even if it gets rezoned AR, we can still
Yep.
negotiate with a builder, a developer, to let the density go up in return for something, right?
Yes.
So let me tell you about a conversation I had. So I was talking to the school committee members about, the topic of how would the impact on schools if we were to do what we were talking about, which sounds like it's a pretty big issue because you aren't sure the exact match between students and capacity, but it wasn't going in that direction. But
Yeah.
it was one of the people, I'm trying to remember her name, started telling me about this development in Clinton. Now I got to find the name of it. It was
Probably the Woodlands.
Woodlands or Ridgefield.
Older.
Ridgefield's older.
Yeah.
No, it was older than that. Began with a C, I think. It sounded a lot like what we had migrated to. It had a mix of, low income senior, high end, kind of all different levels of expense houses. And the initial builder started doing it and ran out of money, went belly up, couldn't make it work, left it half done. And then Vin and Casa, it was not Steve, I think it's James or something. There's another one.
James is the nephew.
Okay. He went in, bought it, I think cheap, started putting up high-end single families. And then somehow they ended up putting senior over 55, they bought some more land in the back and put a bunch of over 55s in it. So you had a mix of starter homes, over 55s, and larger single families, unrestricted, right? And I was, reading the book, it sounded like that was an ideal environment, but it turns out it's not been, at least the way she described it.
Because
the groups stick together and don't like each other. The old people are complaining about the
kids,
and the young people are complaining about the old people driving too fast. And I guess it's
wow.
Within each group, the groups are happy with each other, but between the groups, it's not going well at all. She said it was really. She said we should learn about it because it's a bad example of what can happen.
And I think that's why scale matters. And when we initially talked and Ron was talking, we were looking at something similar to, Riverwalk there in Concord with just a handful of units, small acreage. I mean, you could really define it as, you can't build any more than 10 units and just leave it at that. And then you might get a cohesive little group, similar to what happens in,
a regular neighborhood.
Right.
I mean, that's the problem with, putting an over 55 community in the middle of something else is when somebody buys into something like that, they're expecting a certain atmosphere. And you're not going to get it if it's not off on its own.
Well, the other interesting thing is when I met with the group on River Road, we were talking about what works and what doesn't, and they put is it Brook Lane, the one that's down there on River Road?
Yep. Yep.
They said that was a model for something that everybody loves. The people who live there love it. The neighbors love it. It's a big success. Ron loved it, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Which supports what you just said, Carolyn, right?
Yeah, exactly. You're buying into a certain community.
Well, it's like
With certain
LLC.
expectations.
You know, Camelot and Mosaic
Yeah.
defined what it was that they wanted to be, and people bought into that image, and they're content and happy, it seems to me.
That's a good point. I think that's the other success in town of housing development, I think.
Yeah.
Yep.
And
I think eventually Highland Ridge, those neighbors have already come together, unfortunately, out of need more than desire.
I think you're right. They all like it, yeah.
Yeah, but everybody that I've talked to, they love their neighbors.
That's great.
That's what I heard too, yeah.
That's what you want.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, and the town liking, like most people in town don't even know that co-houses exist, I think. And who knows what their opinion is of them.
I said to Eloise the other day, I said, if I were to say to you that the town has grown by 1,000 people in the last 25 years, you'd agree. And she said, oh yeah, certainly. And then I said, if I told you the school population hasn't grown in the last 25 years, you'd agree. And she said, yeah, definitely. And I thought, okay, that's something for us to keep in mind. I need to look at those figures more accurately.
True, because the school was designed for a certain classroom size, and I think now it's a little larger. I think it was like 17 and now it's 20 or something. So it's gone up a little bit, but not a huge amount.
Yeah, if you look at the numbers, some classes at certain grade levels are less than 20, and there's a couple that are over 20, and you're going to get those fluctuations. And when you get a big subdivision, often you get a bubble of a certain age group, because that parent group that's got that need to expand because the kids are finally in school shows up, and you end up with 5 new kids in the first grade over what you already had. And
yeah, which is what happened with the co-houses.
Yeah. So, but that's a crapshoot, but I don't feel as, if we look at our history, I mean, I can remember we were going to build a new school on South Common in 1970, whenever. In the 1970s, we hired the architect. The work was beginning to be done. The school was going to be placed on South Common. And then they looked at the birth rate and the census data, and they said, whoa. And sure enough, the school-age population just plummeted in that case compared to wherever they expected it to be. And as a result, they didn't build the school for another 25 years, so. So yeah, perspective on the demographic issues of population. And
that was the backside of the baby boomers having kids, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
So maybe we should be redirecting back towards what you were saying. We started with the smaller projects.
I'm trying to get the commission to host that sort of gathering of a couple of these guys that have successfully built some of these smaller projects, and maybe some community representatives from the towns they're in, and really have a forum that allows us to get a little better perspective. Because if our objective is to come up with that middle range price for a home that is small A affordable, and we can't achieve it through any of the zoning techniques we try to use, then why bother?
Yeah.
If all we're going to do is build small little $800,000 houses,
Right. Yep.
Let them build those on A&R lots scattered around town,
Right.
Well, the way the building code has been changing, particularly at the beginning of this year, it's a garage at 800,000.
Yeah.
Yeah. With the triple pane windows and 4 feet of insulation in the walls and blower doors testing every time.
Well, I look at Tommy Doerr's rehab of Lowe's house and, what he had to sell it for when he was done based on code,
Which house?
The house next to Village Power,
Oh, that thing.
was
That was Tommy Doerr.
over 600,000.
In about 10 minutes.
Huh?
Well, they were looking at it for a long time. They looked at it actually when Lowe's still owned it. So the people that bought it are my son's in-laws, and they watched it for a long time. And
This is the little one that's now kind of overhangs the porch or something. Yeah.
Yep. It's great inside.
Is it? Yeah.
Yeah, I was in there today. It's, he did a great job. He expanded so he could get space in the cellar. He's got a room down there. He's got room, he's got a good sized room upstairs. He's, quite a bit of space compared to what was there. So, and they got a great view of Village Power's dumpster and stuff. So I said, I'm moving it.
All right.
Great.
We're out of time.
So I'm meeting with the mayor and that group on the 27th, which is the day we meet. So that'll be during the day, and then I can let you know what I discover that night.
Okay.
Oh, are we going to cancel next week's?
That's what I was going to say. That's our next choice.
Might as well.
I'll make that motion.
Second. Happy birthday to
Thank
you.
you.
Oh, it's 39, huh? That's great.
Yeah. Yep.
All right, so we are going to officially cancel it.
Well, you didn't call a vote.
Oh, you want me to vote? We want to vote on it?
Well,
okay. Well, you made a motion. Is there a second?
Tim seconded.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't catch that. All righty. Any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll ask you to vote. Carolyn McDonald.
Aye.
Jay Teach.
Aye.
Tim.
Aye.
And Tom. Aye. Motion
Wait a minute. Does it have to be unanimous? Because we don't have Thomas here.
He's not here to vote. So.
Aye. Oh, I heard him.
Oh, I heard him.
Actually, he did earlier.
Yes.
Say that if we were going to, that he would be in support of that because he had a meeting.
That's true.
I will text him and tell him that it is official so that he doesn't show up.
Yep.
Okay. So do we need to put a cancel on the My Town Government?
Yep.
Okay.
You gonna do that? You want me to do that? What?
I don't have access to edit the
Tom.
Oh, Tom.
I can get Leanne to do it. Actually, I can cancel it. That's right.
What?
I can
say that again. Say that again.
I can cancel it.
Okay.
Yeah.
And Jay, you're submitting the two to Kristen. You want me to submit them to Kristen?
I'm like so badly overbooked right now. I'm afraid I won't do it. I have to write the annual report. I was supposed to have it in by the 31st.
Well,
yeah, I got that email too.
I can send it to Kristen because I've been updating her on the stuff for CPA. So if you send me the new text,
yep,
I can try to write a summary. The summary basically is that the school, the objective is to develop a means of supplying townspeople with an up-to-date means of informing them about special events and meetings.
Yeah.
in an electronic fashion, I
Yeah,
guess.
you could even say in response to requests that have come before the planning board.
Yeah, okay.
And a
So I'll do something like
successful
that.
experiment with the portable sign. Whatever. They all know about it. I've met with who did I meet with Kristen. I don't know. We've already had a meeting about it, so it's not gonna be a big surprise.
Yeah. No, she's on board, so
It's great.
I move that we adjourn so we can celebrate Carolyn's birthday.
Second.
One second.
Oh.
Can I
Oh.
ask one question before we do that?
Sure.
We're not going to initiate this rezoning of the gravel pit from the planning board, right? We're going to let it the way it is.
It's on the warrant as a citizen's petition.
Yeah, and we're just going to do the hearing and vote and
Correct.
things you told us. Okay, just making sure.
And you're going to send me the text for the signs.
Yeah.
As edited tonight. Okay.
Yep. Oh, except for some reason, when I respond to things that your email is included on,
yeah,
something different than Indian Head Farm, and it keeps getting rejected and rejected, rejected. What is that? There's some other.
Yeah, I'm getting the emails, but for some reason something else is bouncing. I said to James, "Come on," because he told me he was going to back up all of my email that I wanted, and then he's going to go with an entirely different provider somehow.
Okay, but see, there's two. It's the thwheeler7@gmail is the one that keeps getting bounced.
Yeah, I've been getting notes, but the other one keeps working. I'm getting the others.
So you want us to send it to the Indian Head one?
Yeah, Indian Head.
Yep. Okay.
And now everyone has Tim's email.
It's all right. They did anyway.
Yeah, right. That one's an easy one to get.
Well, I mean, if you're in town, all you got to do is look at an email from Mary years ago where she sent it to 144 people, and everybody that you wanted to know emails for, you found them, right?
Yep.
I've got some of those. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
As James always says to me, "Oh, stop. Whatever they want to know, they know." Don't be naive. Just be shrewd,
Mm-hmm.
Right.
All righty. We have a motion and a second, and it's non-discussable. Are we ready to vote?
Yep.
Okay. Carolyn McDonald.
Aye.
Jay Teach.
Aye.
Timothy Wheeler.
Aye.
Tom Sanford, aye. Motion carries 4-1 abstainer.